Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Yes, lovely new brakes, well, lovely brakes again. Right, we have a 2003 Hyundai Santa Fe, and I don't know if the I don't know if the camera is actually showing it, but it's very kind of a bluey reddy colour around where the disc is. The caliper has seized, but lucky enough we've got this just in time. It only seized, we was driving for about half an hour, if that, so we stopped, brought it in straight away. You can even see, I don't know if the camera's showing it, but again inside the brake pad you can kind of see all the old grease kind of bubbled up on it. So we know the caliper is seized, so we're going to change it, and that, what we've got here, as you can see, is a nice shiny new one. So we're going to replace it with a new one. Fairly straightforward. With something like this, what we have to do is we've replaced the brake pads the far side. Even though the brake pads were fine the far side, they've obviously worn down on this side, and it's just better to replace the pads the far side and obviously replace the pads this side as well. It just keeps everything in balance. So the first thing we're going to do is whip off the caliper. Well, actually, no, we won't. What we're going to do first thing we're going to do first is actually clamp the brake line to make sure when we disconnect it, we're not going to lose all the fluid. So I'm just going to put it over here, slide that up, and that will clamp the brake line. Now, if you're quick enough and you're putting the new caliper on, you don't necessarily maybe do it. It just makes your life a little bit easier. You don't have to rush, which is you don't want to rush on a job like this. So what I'm going to do now is actually take off the brake line. I'm not going to be able to show you, but there's a banjo bolt right here at the back of the caliper. And that's where the bolt goes in. It should be a 12mm if I remember correctly. Yes, it is. So just loosen that first. Now we might lose a bit of fluid because there's going to be a bit of fluid in the pipe. There's also going to be a bit of fluid in the caliper, but we're not worried about that. What we are worried about is we need to make sure the two little washers are still on. I can't see any at the minute, but we'll get this caliper off first before we worry about them, and then we'll see what the story is. Be 14mm to take off the caliper, and it is. That's the two 14mm bolts that hold on the caliper, as we can see. Now, no obvious signs of problems, but it won't push back, and it's heating up, so we know it's seized. And a good thing to check is at the back of the caliper, you can't quite see, there's these two little pins I show in all my brake videos. If they're seized, and these are moving in and out, that would also give you the impression of a caliper is seized, even though it's not. So you want to double check these as well, just make sure these aren't seized, and they're not, they're good. Now we do get two new copper washers with it, but I don't know if the camera's going to show it. There we go. There's a copper washer. Very important you actually get these. We do get new ones, so I'm going to use the new ones. Other thing you have to be aware of is you need to give this back, because there is a charge. If you don't give the caliper back, you'll get charged more. Depending on who you are with or who you know, you might have to take the caliper off first, because obviously if they don't know you, they don't know if you're going to bring the caliper back. And then you don't have to pay the charge, or you might have to pay the charge, bring the caliper back, and they give you your money back. But yes, always need to give your caliper back. And we get the copper washers and these little rubber gaiters as well. And the reason they are is these two pins I was telling you about, which are very important. They give you new rubber here, because if these rubbers get broke, same thing happens. These seize, which gives you the impression the caliper sees, and it can just do as much damage as a caliper sees these not working. So we're going to take them both out. We're going to clean them, put the new rubber on, and put everything back new. The way you clean them is just a wire brush, and we're going to put some molly grease on them. I've showed this on loads of my videos. I'm not going to show you cleaning them, but we're going to take them off, wire brush them, put new fresh molly grease on. Another thing you need to be aware of is sometimes these two pins are different. Apart from the colour, these are exactly the same. Sometimes maybe longer or shorter or thicker, so it's important to get them back in the right place. This is molly grease, and all I'm going to do is literally just spread it on nice and thick. Molly grease is basically like a bearing CV joint grease. It's really, really good. designed to take temperature, and also it doesn't kind of compact and go hard like cheaper grease will. The thing I do is just get the new rubbers and just slip them over the top. There's a little ring at the bottom where they kind of seal, so just push it down on top. Very straightforward. Push them in and make sure the bottom lip seals on the carrier itself. No way I can show you, but once you're doing it yourself, it is kind of straightforward. Next thing we want to do is take out the old pad. Now we're not worried about these pads. Now I've damaged that taking it out, but what happens is when they get too hot, the pads go hard and they don't work properly. Not the correct way of taking pads out, but I couldn't be asked to get a screwdriver. Sorted. So, regards the new pads, as you can see, nice new. Now one of the pads have this special kind of clip on it. That's actually an anti-wear clip, not an anti, it's a wear clip. So once your pad wears down to that much, you'll start hearing this horrible screeching coming from the brakes. It's to tell you, look, check it out, there's something wrong. Because if you leave it too long, you're going to damage your discs. And obviously pads are a hell of a lot cheaper. What we need to do is copper grease these up. I like just to do the tips first and leave the middle, so just like that, the two ends. You can put a bit of grease on there, it just depends, but they're on the edge. The reason why I don't like putting grease in the middle there yet is because as you hold it with your finger, if you transfer grease onto the back of the braking area, well, you're not going to brake, and you're going to cause yourself a lot more problems. So once you get it in, it just slots in. Now we can actually put grease there, and that saves you getting grease all over. Do the exactly same with the back, then we're ready to put the caliper on. So now we just put grease on there. Now with the new caliper, it's all pushed back, it's all kind of ready to go. All you need to do is pull out the little rubber grommet here, and that obviously stops all shit getting inside. Another thing you want to do is take off the actual bleed nipple. It's just easier because we get it to gravity bleed first before we actually bleed it properly. It just can save a lot of time doing it that way. This is a bit stiff for some reason. Right, it's off. So now this should just slot over nice and easy, which it does. Sometimes too, there can be a couple of different makes of calipers and even, well, different style of pads. This one they didn't seem to be because they just ordered, they didn't ask me what make it was. Sometimes there'll be a make on the actual caliper, which you need to get first to make sure you get the right one. So what I'm going to do now is just put in these two bolts at the back, 14mm. So we'll just tighten them up. Now what I need to make sure is the actual brake line is clean. There's no grit on the flat surface where the washer goes, because that will make the washer not seal. And we've also got to make sure we don't have a copper washer stuck on it, because you don't want two copper washers together. Now we took one copper washer off the actual caliper itself, and the other one is stuck on the bolt. So you need to get a little screwdriver, and we need to try and free this copper washer off here. I'm not going to do it because I need 3 hands. The little copper washer is just stuck on there, so I'm just going to crack that off and use the two new ones. Got that off, and it's important you have the two washers sandwiched between the actual banjo here. So one can go on the actual banjo bolt, just like that. Put this through, and then put one on the opposite side. It's important you do that. Now as you can see, we've got a little leg sticking out here on the actual brake pipe itself, and that has to slot through this hole here. So the bolt comes through, and this little slot it rests on, and what that does is that actually holds it for when you tighten it, and it keeps it in place, so it stops it vibrating loose and all sorts. So it's important you get that lined up. Don't have it sitting on like that, or don't have it resting either side, because it won't seal properly and it potentially could leak and you have no brakes, and then bang, you're into a wall. Again, I'm gonna have to do this far side. Now these bolts are quite scary because they're hollow in the middle, so they're not like a normal bolt you can tighten. You can very easily snap them and then you are in trouble. So you have to obviously tighten them, but enough so they don't leak. If you're ever unsure, what I suggest you do is tighten to how you think, bleed the brakes, get someone when the car is off to press as hard as they can on the brake pedal just to see if there's any leak in there, because even the slightest bit of leaking will affect your pedal. Now that is tight enough. Because we've undone the bleed nipple, what I'm going to do is just release the clamp, and I'm just going to wait until brake fluid starts coming out of the hole here. It could take 2 minutes, it could take 10 minutes, it just depends. I'm going to let it gravity bleed first before I actually do anything else with it. Once it's finished, I'll turn the camera back. Right, so what you need to do, once it has started dripping, I've just put the actual bleed nipple back and we're going to bleed it. So we've got Keith up inside the Jeep. All right, Keith.
How's it going?
Right, so what we've got to do is, Keith's going to be on another video shortly, even though he's been trying to get out of it for ages, where we're going to service his posh, very posh Mercedes. 560 SEL, I have you know. So if you want to see a 560 SEL service, I need you to comment to tell Keith, fucking come down and get it done. Because he's going to be on camera, and he's a bit camera shy. So, seems though he's camera shy, we'll just say hello. All right? So he's no choice now, because he's stuck up at the lift, so he has to... Yeah, go on, jump then. I'll film it. Actually, yeah, get a load of more followers. Go on, jump. Jump, go on. We need to basically bully him into doing the video. Right, so what we're going to do now is, because we've let it gravity bleed, it's still not 100% bled. So we're going to get Keith to pump the pedal a few times until it goes hard. Tell me when it's hard. Yeah, is it hard? Yeah. Right, it's hard now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the bleed nipple. I will when I get the right spanner, 11 mil. I'm going to get him to keep his foot pressed down on the brake pad, on the brake pedal. You ready? Yeah. And I'm going to release this. You'll see fluid come out. Pedal's gone all the way down. Yeah. Push it back. So now he's going to pump it up a few more times till it goes hard again. Has it gone hard? Right, I'm going to open it again. Right, foot down on the pedal. Yeah, still out. Your foot's on the pedal, yeah? Right, there we go. I've loosened it. We saw a little bit of air come out, so we're going to do it one more time. Right, pump again. Has it gone hard? Yeah. Right, this should hopefully be the last time. Keep your foot on the pedal. Now, no air came out that time. Okay, pump. Has it gone hard? Yeah? Yeah? Right, it's gone hard now. One more go. Right, okay. Foot on the pedal, yeah? Right. Try now. Pump. Yeah, pump. What you'll also need to do is, after you've done this, is to check the brake level, make sure it's full. How's that feel? Yeah, a little soft. Yeah. But is the pedal hard? It is, yeah. Right, okay. It'll be a little soft. We've just put new pads in the back, so I wouldn't worry about that. So yeah, what we need to do is take it for a test drive just to be 100% sure. If you don't hear anything at the end of the video, you know the test drive went well and all is good. And that's it really. That's how to change a caliper and pads on a 2003 Santa Fe, Hyundai Santa Fe. So look, hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe. Please don't forget to help us in the GoFundMe, and also check out our website and our forum. If you haven't signed up, sign up. And most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.